One more time, it is episode 123, no, 2nd March for International Women's Day. You're like, do the cold open. I'm like, it's going to be funny though. Amsterdam is banning cannabis use in the red light district. I guess the red light in this instance stands for stop.
I'm so mad at that open.
I apologize for nothing.
I know. That's what makes me even angrier.
Such a fun song.
I love this song.
This is Mama Coco by Blake Symphony. He has graciously provided us use of his music.
Wow.
Well, that song anyway. Wasn't speaking for you, Blake. It's fine. I get it. I know we licensed a song from you, but I love that song. It's so
a great
fun.
Song.
It's such a great. It's so good.
It is.
It's so good.
It will be one of many.
Yes, indeed.
For sure. If you haven't checked him out, he's at Blake Symphony on most social media accounts. You can find his album Nomad currently available, and he's got a new album dropping soon.
Ooh, nice. I gotta check that out.
According to his Insta.
Well, now that we know who's not on this podcast right now, except for his music, let's introduce ourselves.
Let's do it.
I'm Jim. I am the co-founder of TripBee and chief content officer and resident know-it-all.
Yeah, you are.
I am such a resident know-it-all. It's so true. It's very true.
About like 2 specific topics too.
Oh, I like to know I like to be the smartest person in the room or feel like it anyway. And yeah, it's kind of bad. So but I admit it. And I actually do like learning new things.
You do.
So
that's true. Well, you like teaching new things, which
I like
is good.
teaching. I like teaching and I like learning. So those are really big.
Have that, man.
Big things in my mind.
Yeah, we call him Weather Manning because he's definitely our resident weather nerd and geography buff. Holy crap! Oh man! Don't play this guy in Worldle. He'll kick your ass.
I can't wait for the. It's not on the podcast sheet, but we're totally doing the state trivia game.
Yes.
And I don't know how we're gonna play that just yet, but I think you should probably quiz me on shit and
done.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. But so that's me in a nutshell. Joining me is Adelaide Braddock.
Hello.
She is co-founder along with me and CEO, as well as my amazing wife.
Life partner.
Yes, life partner. Still don't know how I managed to rope her in, but
it was easily your knowledge of the weather and all things meteorological.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
That and
I'm not even really kidding.
wait, seriously? Oh my God.
I lived in the Midwest for 10 years. I'm pretty fascinated by the weather, like truthfully.
It's a fascinating place for weather.
True.
I heard a woman even got carried away to mystical, fantastical land.
I'm shaking my head right now. This is not okay. None of this is okay.
I didn't. That's a story I heard.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss CEO and co-founder, and
so
not Mrs. Manning. Never,
No.
ever call her that.
Although you can call him Mr. Braddock.
No, don't do that either. I have earned this now. I have earned the Manning last name, and not by throwing footballs.
Fair. No, my name's Adelaide Braddock. I am, as Jim stated, the co-founder and CEO of TripBee. I am a world traveler since I was literally, I don't know, I think my mom said I started traveling when I was a few days old. And I kind of like that fact. I was born in Texas, and then my parents were like, now let's go.
I'm surprised you're not back there, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm not. Like, I think they've served their time. They're good. And nothing against Texas. It's got plenty of lovely places and lovely people and lovely things to do. Great freaking food. Like, I rave about
That's
it.
true.
I love the beaches there. Like, yeah, there's a lot to enjoy about Texas.
See, the beaches part, you kind of lose me. It's a little...
Really?
Yeah, it's because you can drive on the beaches.
You can?
Could in Galveston, but that was... couple years
I'm
back.
sorry. How old were you when you were there? Oh, hello.
Oh, we've
yes.
activated the cat.
We have. Yeah, our resident mascot. Come here. Come introduce
The third co-founder of TripBee, Trip Kitty.
Catalunya.
Catalunya.
Hi, baby girl. Come say
oh my
hi.
goodness.
Look at our sweet kitten.
She's like, what are you doing to
She
me?
hates
Why?
being held.
Why?
This is her least favorite position in life.
She is not a huge fan now.
But she's my girl. She's such a girl. Yes, she is. Go. Okay, go away.
She's total sweetie.
All right, you want to go? All right, you want to go there? Go
All
there.
right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I'm a world traveler by trade. Whether I wanted to be or not, I've been. I think I've only been to about a dozen countries, and I say only, but that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah. Maybe even more than that. I'm trying to look at the map behind you right now because I've got all my pins in there. But yeah, I've lived in half of those though, so that's really the big,
that's also
the big
saying a
kicker. Which somebody the other day, I used to say I'm a 5-time expat, and someone was like, "You realize that expat is just a term for white people who are immigrants?" And I was like, "Oh." I guess it is. But I never thought of immigration. Sorry, not to get off topic of our intros. Whatever. We'll get back to stuff. But it was one of those things where like I never said immigrant because that always held a different status to me that was actually above expat. Like expat to me was like, oh, I'm not here permanently. Like I'm not seeking permanent residence necessarily. I'm here. I'm living here. I'm doing this thing for now, but I'm probably going to move somewhere else at some other point. And so it just never occurred to me to think of myself as an immigrant, but I guess it makes sense. Like,
definitely, if you're living somewhere else, I mean, you would have to be an immigrant, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I mean, weigh in. People who have thoughts on this or actual legal like statements, but no, yeah, I would say where Jim is like the weather and geography nerd, I am the language and accents nut.
Oh, so true.
I freaking love languages.
You just want to meet everyone.
I do,
and
though.
be friends with them.
I do, though. It is true. Like Jim always says, like friends, like strangers are just friends I haven't met. Yeah, which I'm like,
that's 100% your operating
it
philosophy.
really is. It really is. It didn't. I mean, yeah. I don't know. There's just something about like.
No, it has literally always been your operating philosophy, and I know this because of the story that you always tell about going to Oktoberfest when you were like 2 years old. With your grandparents in Munich and
my parents.
And your parents.
No, we weren't in Munich. We were in, I think we were in Heidelberg. Or Karlsruhe, I'm not sure. But we were definitely, my dad's military, like retired. So we did the stints, right? Like we did the typical, but yeah, we were somewhere.
We
weren't in Bavaria. We weren't in Schwabia.
So what happened? Why don't you tell the audience?
Well, apparently, according to my parents, I was like 2-ish, and I wandered off in the middle of a Festhaus, which if you've ever been to a Festhaus, like even if you've been to an American version,
Parents
where
of the
it's
year
like,
right here.
Hey, look, we're all God's children, Jim. So
you almost met God.
Did not. It wasn't even.
No,
it's not even that kind of story. It's like so much.
It's so
much more lighthearted than that. I mean, it's Germany and Oktoberfest. Like nobody, and I don't even think it was Oktoberfest. I think it was just like a random like Festhaus situation. Yeah. So we had
Ein Beer Hall.
Yeah, I'm mucho beer hall. So we had been sitting at this table, and if you've been to a beer hall or a beer tent or a Festhaus, you see like it's the long rows of picnic bench style tables. This cat is just climbing all over our desk right now. This is hilarious. She's like, I want to be on the podcast.
This could be bad.
Oh, this could be so bad. Don't step on the mixer. Did she just turn me down? Really?
I don't think she did. No,
okay. I was like, I heard the volume button. I was like, rude.
That would be hilarious. Oh my God.
Mom picked me up. Here's what I'm doing about that.
Mom, stop. Mom, I don't care.
Oh my Lord. No, but we, we're in the big tent with the long tables. And so I'm like standing on the bench and I've got my hands on the table and I'm kind of like hanging out, like talking, whatever. And, as I am wont to do. And apparently at some point I went missing, like full on. My mom and dad turned around and they were like, where is our only child?
Parents
like
of the year.
Yeah, they were not thrilled. So they're frantically with my grandparents trying to find me, and apparently located. Some people were like, "Oh, you're the ones with the child. She's over there talking to that guy." And apparently, I had found myself a little 19-year-old soldier who I decided to start flirting with, and so I went over to this table and was chatting it up with this dude. And it's funny because he didn't speak English, and I don't think I spoke words. I think my whole thing was, baby babble. I don't even think I was quite 2 yet. So like, yeah,
Although if you were talking prior to 2, I wouldn't even be a little bit surprised.
Oh no, I absolutely was. I was talking at 1, full sentences. I have that story too. That's a great one. I wasn't walking and the nurse thought I was mentally handicapped, but that's another story for another time. No, I went over to this guy and was like talking to him and his friends, and we were having a whole conversation with me, like, in like my baby babble, and the guy like back in German, like, oh, was ist das denn? Like, okay, cool. Oh, natürlich. And, and then all of a sudden my parents show up and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And this guy's like, no, she's great. Like, this is hilarious. And he's like, you got to bring her back when she's 40, which I have not been back, but that would have been a funny story if we like knew who he was, right? And I could like go back and meet this guy. Like, that would just be freaking wild. He'd be 60 now, so yeah, that would be really funny.
That would be a hoot.
That would be a hoot. Yeah.
So if you remember talking to a 1.5-year-old
in
American
like
girl in 1981 in somewhere in Germany, not even sure where,
and you were a soldier at the time, 19-year-old,
and you were a soldier, yeah. It narrows it down to the country of Germany.
It really does. Yeah. If you were a new conscript,
you'd have to be 60. You'd have to be about 60 now, so anyway. Figure somewhere between 60 and 65.
Thanks. Just keep racking it up. That's fine. Just anyway. So yeah, so that was the story.
I mean, thus began your fascination with older men. It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
It's fair. It's fine. Oh my Lord. So yeah. That tells you about everything that you should know about me, I think. Jim and I, interestingly enough, so you'll notice behind Jim there is a, maybe you'll see it.
If you're on the video.
If you're on the video, you can see it.
If you're watching the video.
And behind me, I have some lightning paraphernalia.
I still got to figure out how I'm going to cut this too. So.
Well, and anyway,
we'll see how that all works out.
Who says you got to cut anything? It's fine. But Jim and I are big Tampa Bay Lightning fans. Jim's from Tampa originally, born and raised. I knew that was coming. But we met at a Lightning game, over a decade ago.
13 years.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. So that was our, so you'll see fun little sports. We're both pretty big sports fans. I would say generally hockey and baseball, but every once in a while we'll.
It's mostly hockey.
For sure.
Although you keep trying to, like, whenever we had the MLB package from our previous phone provider, it was always like you would always put on the Royals game and I'd be like, but why?
Because I grew up watching the Royals.
But they're bad.
But
and we have
Salvador Perez is great. The man is greatness personified. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to watch good players.
As opposed to like a good team that
wins.
I
mean, you can't win them all.
In Kansas City's case, you can't win many.
That's true. This could be a good year.
No.
Yet, so you are so nega. Ugh, rude. All right.
I'm sorry. It's just I was there when I was watching you when the Royals won their title in 2015, and you were so very happy, and it was so cute.
It was great. It was a good time.
I loved watching it. I loved watching the Royals win that title.
Baumgartner, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, he was a cheat code,
dude.
Not even fair.
Like, who pitches like that? Anyway, this is not a sports channel. Let's get back to the topic at hand. What is this channel, Jim?
This channel is this is an I mean,
podcast, whatever.
The
What are we?
podcast,
What
yeah.
are we? What are we?
What are we?
What is TripBee?
TripBee is the world's first travel research and itinerary planning platform.
Heck yeah.
That's right. It's coming at you a little later this year. We are, so obviously this is episode 1, and we're getting our sea legs. Piecing all of this together. So thank you, everybody who's here at the ground level. You'll all get intro rates or something. I don't know.
Something.
We'll figure something.
Let us
out.
know you care.
You can be a beta tester. We'd love that. When we have an app available, but it'll be coming. It's coming. So you've got the pitch down. I know I need to practice it. Episode 2.
Hey, look. Like a pitch is only your description of a company. This whole like polish needs to be, in certain, 10 seconds or less, like that whole elevator pitch kind of mentality. I don't think people really buy into that anymore. I think the idea is, can you tell me what your company does and make sure I get it? Like that's all that really matters. And truthfully, you just did. So, I mean, we're a project planner. I mean, we are a project planner.
Kind of a project planner.
Trip planning is probably one of the least desirable jobs for anyone to have.
Depends on who you are, but.
Well, you like to plan. You are a planner.
I'm a huge planner.
I am not, which is ironic, I know, but I don't. I think that's part of the reason why.
I don't think that's ironic.
Yeah,
I know you well enough to know.
That's a big reason why you and I founded this company, was because that was such a huge pain point for me personally. Was you're constantly trying to show me the things that you're planning for us to do when we decide to travel somewhere, and I'm constantly like, I could sit here and look at all the stuff that you've looked at and contextually not understand any of it and be kind of like, yeah, that looks great. Yeah, that looks great. Yeah, that looks great. Let's do that. Sure, why not? And not know how I feel about it until I get there. I treat everything like recon.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, I'll go back.
No, see, that's my whole thing is I got way too much of the world to see. And I mean, there's
you can't do it twice.
You never know. Am I going to get back there? Who knows?
I don't know. The Southwest was kind of like Lay's for you. You were like, God, I can't stop.
Oh my God, no! I still want to go back there. But no, seriously, yeah. I can kind of respect the recon thing, but I'm just like, if I never get back here again, I want to make damn sure I see everything here, everything. Mm-hmm. So that's how I treat trip planning. I'm like, let me figure out everything that's here that I positively must see. Mm-hmm. And then, if I miss a few, I just get really, really mad. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
So then,
that's about right.
Thence came TripBee, which was aimed at alleviating the person who didn't want to do all that planning, and the person who did want to do all that planning and just, wanted to see everything contextualized, because I'm just such a map nerd, such a huge map nerd.
I mean, I want to see everything contextualized too. That's the whole point. So the idea behind TripBee is we're giving our users a space where you can put all of the information that you're researching. If you've seen our intro video, you kind of get a sense of this, but check us out on YouTube.
And if you haven't, you should check that out.
For sure. Like we've got it up on YouTube. It's about a 3-minute video, and it's kind of fun. It's got a whole bunch of background. Jim and I have been collecting, all of our travel experiences for the past 13 years that we've been together, and all of the stuff is on there. So the idea of researching your travel stuff being less intrusive and less oppressive as a job, like now, okay, I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and I'm super stoked because I have all this free time, to spare, because I didn't have to sit there and plan my travel for freaking ever, right? Because I just took all the links and stuff that I was looking at, and I put them in a board, and then that showed me where everything was, and I said, okay, this and this and this and this and this, and then I created my itinerary, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm ready to go, right? Like that's high level generally what we're after here. So I'm personally very stoked about it. I think this is going to be a great product for myself, especially.
I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
They say don't ever start a company or build a product to solve your own problems, and I'm like, okay.
See, I'm kind of like, I thought our buddy over at House Mother, I thought he had the right idea though.
Will.
Will literally built the his app to solve exactly his problem. And he's like, I'm sure there's a market for it. I think he's even secured a little funding, hasn't he?
Yes, I believe so.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I
if I'm feeling this pain, someone else is feeling this pain. There's 8 billion people on this planet. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, we got the travel influencers are out there. Oh my God,
I know you did.
I almost let her Kenny.
I know you
anyhow,
did.
No, the travel influencers are out there, and I think there are plenty of people, not just in our generation and not just in your parents' generation, who don't have jobs to go to, but people who are like, my job's going to be traveling around and taking pictures and monetizing my content and doing things like that. I think there's a market there for sure, and having something that, I mean, I would think that cutting down planning time for that would be, a big thing for people in that line of work too.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just we'll have to see, but yeah, very much looking forward to it. I think this is this is going to be a lot of fun trying to build the whole thing when we're not bashing our heads against the wall. Okay, next segment. Oh, we have something for this.
I had something for this.
I thought I'd replace that.
I thought you had to.
We'll get it in post.
Come back to me. I had something for this.
We're not going to get it in post. It's going to be fine. I don't care.
That sounded like a plane farting.
That's funny because that's actually going to be one of my upcoming TikTok posts is the 3 things not to eat on the plane, according to flight attendants.
Yeah, I like that article. That's dude. Travel and leisure. I gotta say, like
travel and leisure. Yeah.
Stop. Something for anyone who, if Jim and I wind up doing this long term, anyone who listens to us long term is going to hear a lot of Jim correcting my pronunciation of things.
Oh,
do not say pronunciation. I swear to Christ.
I guarantee they're going to hear you correcting plenty on my end.
Fair.
Like I don't even do accents around you anymore.
I literally have nothing for that, if only because, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, she's gonna hate it, so I'm gonna get it corrected.
I don't hate it. You do a great Canadian accent. You do a great Russian accent.
Ugh.
That's really fun.
Yeah. Well, now I'm on the spot, so I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, fine.
I'm just like, nope, not prepared for that one. Honestly, like it's the first time you ever complimented an accent of mine.
That is not true. I compliment your Russian accent all the time.
That's true.
I actually think that one is hilarious. Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah. So we're back. Around about the 24-minute mark. Decided that the next segment's going to be food and drink.
Woot!
Woot!
And on that note,
hey, Slancha. Well, ooh. I should isolate that for All right. Well, since Vanna is displaying her bottle there, why don't you oh my God.
Yeah, it's got some punch.
We're definitely going to have to isolate that for a sound. Like, no, seriously, this is going on the sound pad.
Okay.
100%.
Right. I'm here for it.
So anyhow, yeah, well, since you were actually like showing the bottle off and everything, getting all fancy with it, why don't you tell us what you're drinking and where it's from?
Okay. Well, first I have to talk about this glass.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually a little annoyed. I don't know the maker. I'll have to get it from Chris. So my bestie got this for me, and it's got my name, and it's got my favorite flower. I love poppies. Poppies are my favorite flower. And yeah, it's like hand painted, and I've had it for years and I freaking love it. So yeah, had to start with that one. Chris, shout out to Chris. He's amazing. Yeah. So the wine that I am drinking today is a 2019 Merlot Reserve from Penswoods Winery. I wanted this one specifically, especially for our first one, because the location for this is near and dear to both of us, right? Like we've been going to Penswoods for years and years.
Oh my God. 8-9 years now?
At least. And we're members there. It's one of those things where I wanted to find a winery. When we first moved to Philadelphia, I was like, I need to find I need to find a winery. Like we're not in wine country per se, but there's
there are a few of them wineries around.
Well, that was the thing, was we didn't really realize how popular wine was becoming in the region until Chatsford Winery had a pop-up kiosk in Reading Terminal.
I think they still do.
No.
It's gone.
It's gone. I know. I don't know if they like moved or what. Yeah, it's not there because I looked for it last time we were there. And Blue Hill had one, or maybe it was just Blue Hill and then Chatsford was like somewhere else. But
Blue Hill's the distillery though, right? No, that's Blue Coat.
Right.
All right.
Which also excellent. If you like gin, Blue Coat, oak barrel aged gin is to die for, primo. But anyway, so back to this. So Penswoods Winery is out in the Chatsford region and Brandywine area. Mm-hmm. So already you're like you're right there on the border with Delaware. The scenery changes significantly, right? Like you kind of get out into these like rolling hills and these beautiful sort of like backwoods. Like everything feels like if you're out in the woods in that area, like fairies are gonna like pop out of trees and shit and like come like pour your wine for you. You're like, okay.
It's so funny.
I'm sure I'm not hallucinating you. It's okay.
I that is not my upbringing. I'm just like, oh, it's colonial times.
It is though, again, but that's my whole little column A, little column B. Like it's very like I don't know if old growth is an accurate term to describe this because I think like that's a specific thing. But it just looks weathered. Like all the right ways. Like I drove through. I had to drive from a training at my previous job from Delaware. I took the back roads to Penswoods one time to go do a pickup for our membership, and the whole way out there was like winding roads, like the type of roads where it reminds me of driving in Ireland, where it's almost like a joke of a road. Like, okay, this is technically a sidewalk, but I'll squeeze my car onto it. Sure, why not?
Island roads.
And like having to pass other people was a challenge. So I definitely love the spectacle. I mean, just like everything out in that area is just absolutely it's stunning.
It's beautiful. And the reason I'm always like, colonial stuff is, you get some 200-year-old farmhouses out there.
Easily. Yeah.
For sure. Like the actual
there's
thing.
There's some proper haunted shit out there. Like,
watch the language.
Oh, stop it. You'll bleep me. But like for sure, it's a beautiful area. So that's one reason I like it. The other reason for sure is the people. The people are as stunning as the scenery. Cool. They're lovely. They've got such a well-rounded knowledge of the wine that they serve. I mean, I'm going to be cautious with this statement here, but like, at the risk of denigrating some of the wineries in the region, I do kind of get the sense that they are places that exist so that like bachelor and bachelorette parties and like weekenders and shore goers and stuff like have places to go and like feel fancy.
They're playing
and, like,
to the crowd. They're
correct.
Playing to the crowd. They know the audience. They're aiming for a certain audience. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. The wineries of South Jersey.
Like I wasn't gonna name names.
It's not.
You're making me look bad. Here's my thing. If I walk in and I see a section of your wine dedicated to like mango wines and like blueberry,
fruit wines.
like fruit like
wines.
other like
they have
just
fruit wines.
I'm
it's
just
fine.
Like,
and some people like fruit wine.
I'm immediately a little sus of my experience.
Judge.
Because my hoity-toity, pinky raised assessment of wine is a little different from
you like the more traditional
literally
stuff,
everyone else that I know.
Yes, no, you're very refined.
In fairness to myself, and I have said this for many, many years, I grew up with very poor eyesight, and like hearing issues here and there, right, with like infections and things like that. So like I don't know if that's the reason for it, but I am a werewolf. Per Jim's own admission, like I
her sense of smell is redonkulous.
Well, like I smell things.
It's unholy, honestly,
and I like it. Like I love smelling stuff. So like I sound so pretentious right now. My device disconnected.
Which device disconnected?
This device disconnected. It should reconnect.
Your camera?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's weird.
Very.
Okay. It's rejoining. Maybe. Possibly. Nope. Whatever. It's still recording, so I don't care.
Yeah.
But like the whole idea of what I like when it comes to wine is I feel a bit pretentious when I talk about it, but I love it. I mean, I get into it. I feel like I'm being judgy. It's fine. Anyway, I like tasting notes. I love understanding like where wine comes from. I love the story that it tells. You watch Sideways and you listen to Virginia Madsen do her monologue about how wine is a living, breathing thing. And the day that you open it, it tastes like no other day that you would open it. Like it's
fancy.
but it is, and it's fine. It's not even, I don't even like it because of the fanciness of it. I like it because of the connection to it. And that's what I love about what she has to say around, or whoever wrote that monologue, Holy. It's so great because it talks in depth about like the people who bottle the wine and the people who grew the grapes and the people, right? Like all of the things that went into making this thing that you're drinking, and you can smell and taste all of it. Mm-hmm. Like if you really put yourself in that space, you can get yourself into that. So when they talk about fancy pants terms like terroir, for example, which is not an easy word to say, and it literally means the taste of the land that the grapes grew in, right? Like leave it to the French to have one word that describes that whole essence. Being able to note the difference in the terroir between the wine that comes from the Brandywine region versus the wine that comes from South Jersey. Even in the Finger Lakes, when we went there, the wine that came from the southern end of Lake Seneca and the wine that came from the northern end of Lake Seneca, where they have more dairy stuff and they don't really grow as much, varietals of grapes in that area. Like you taste it, and it's wild to me. I love that.
That's the first time I've ever tasted terroir or much of anything else in wine.
Which is wild because you have an incredible knack for picking up minerality.
I guess my palate. It's a weird palate. Maybe that's my anosmia and weird palateness. I don't.
That is one of the beauty weird elements of our relationship is that I'm a werewolf and you're anosmic.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked out.
Like
but
the man cannot smell
anything. Nothing.
Like I'll be standing. Thing. I'll be standing. He could stand in the middle of an oil refinery and be like, I don't know.
Yeah. It served me in a few instances, that's for sure.
Oh, Lord knows. If you never have to smell that cat's fart,
like
consider yourself lucky, sir.
Although when I'm cleaning her litter box, that sometimes just wangs me right in the face.
It's so nasty.
But
no, anyway. Okay, so back to what I'm drinking. Okay, so so Penn's Woods does a really great job. All the people there really understand the wine that they make and have a genuine passion for it and an understanding for what makes it what it is. I love this. So again, talking about Sideways, there's that infamous line in there where he's, says, I'm not drinking any Merlot, and loses his lunch over, well, not lunch, but I didn't want to curse. But
thank you.
But yeah, he didn't want Merlot, and it actually hit the Merlot industry so hard. When that happened, it blew my mind to find that out. But I'm also kind of not surprised because people are fickle creatures and easily swayed at the same time. So anyway, this is a Merlot. It's a 2019. It is, how do I describe this? Like, it's very, so you're supposed to, I'll do like just a real quick thing. So you're supposed to look at like color. This is not the correct glass for this because I can't see crap through the painting on it. But I can say the color is like a little like garnety, like almost this like purplish.
It's very pretty wine.
Burgundy. It is beautiful. It's very like gemstone-y looking, right?
Yeah.
So it's not as purple as you would get from like a Cabernet or something, and it's not as light as you would get from a Pinot Noir. But it definitely has that beautiful like in between sort of shifting color. And then I don't know, the smell. This is bugging me because somebody's cooking nearby, and all I can smell right now is like
and by nearby
saucepan,
so we're in Center City, Philadelphia, and by nearby she might mean Northeast Philadelphia.
Someone, probably our downstairs neighbor, is making lunch, and that's what I'm smelling at the moment. But I don't know, definitely like black cherries and like a hint of cassis, like a little bit of like raspberry.
She'll always ask me, and I'll be like, what do you smell?
Yeah, it's got like, I don't know. And again, it could be like the neighbors cooking, but I do smell like a little bit of like citrus almost. But it's not like super florally. It's very berry-y. Maybe like a hint of rose hips. All right. Can we get to the tasting, please? A little bit.
I didn't know we were going to have full tasting on here. This is good stuff.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Meanwhile, I'm drinking Alco soda, so.
You are.
That's
Did you say Alco soda?
Alco Pop.
Alco Pop. No, this is one of my favorite things to do is taste things. I love smelling and tasting things. It's like so great.
It's funny. Your levels are so much higher, by the way, now that we're in and we're talking. I've had to bring the slider down a bit.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's God, it's like jammy on the front and then it dries out as you taste it. It's just got this beautiful like kind of sweetness and then it just goes like super dry and the tannins hit you on the sides of your tongue, so it kind of makes your tongue feel like I don't know, like you just sucked like a Sour Patch Kid a little bit, but without the sour.
Very tanniny.
So the difference between if I'm remembering this right, because I have not done wine tastings in a long time. I think the tannins are where you get sort of that like dry sensation on the sides of your tongue and maybe in your cheeks. The acidity is the bit that makes you salivate. So the higher the acidity, the more it makes you salivate. So if you tip your head forward, you kind of feel the drool. This does not have very high acidity, so I'm not catching much of that at all, which is nice. But
I only drool at night anymore. Thankfully.
Oh my goodness.
Corrected that.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, come to Philadelphia, come to the Delmarva region and hit up Penswoods Winery. Go see Andrea and her team over there. They're absolutely, and Davide, the vintner. I think he's the I think that's his official title.
Vintner? I don't know.
He's the wine
Adelaide's
architect.
like, tell them TripBee sent you, and they'll light up.
They will.
Yeah.
I hope.
Oh my God, Adelaide.
Oh, you're adorable.
Hey, it's true. I was scheduling your birthday party one time, and I was like, I know it's really short notice, and they're like, well, we'll see what we can do. And I was like, yeah, and it's for Adelaide Braddock, and they were like, oh, let me call you back. I was at Logan International Airport, and they're like, I'll call you back. And called me back 2 minutes later, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we kicked this party out of the barn, and like, nuts to them. I don't care that their last name was Biden. It's
oh my God.
They're gone. And
Never
it was
mind.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was just like they're like okay, and we'll do balloons
that had to be Alexa you talked to. She's so great.
Yeah, they were just like, oh my God, it's Adelaide. Like she's famous there. It's awesome. I love it. You're so good at that though. It's so it's so very you. But
Thank you. All I can do is be me.
That's it. It's a good person to be. I say stick with it. So to that point, actually I'm gonna dip down. I'm gonna get myself a little more Alco soda. So why don't you go on with this for just another second?
Why don't you talk about what you're drinking?
Okay.
You got plenty in there. Holy crap!
Define plenty.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
No, so this is vermouth and club soda, and the first time I ever encountered this was when we were living in Barcelona.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, some time ago. And our roommate actually took us out to a bar. Roxana, yes. Roxana took us to a bar in El Raval, down in Old City, Barcelona, Ciutat Vella.
This woman.
Oh, she was great.
She's from Peru. She couldn't have been more than...
She was probably
26, 20 tops.
Okay.
I mean, but people age weird in Europe.
True.
I mean, she was probably like 23, 22, something like that. She was very lively. I mean, she was one of those, she was a bon vivant. I mean, everything she did was just with the sensation of loving life and loving everything and living.
You kind of get that a lot over there, though. It's just,
she was a whole other breed, though.
That's true. A lot of the Catalans we met were kind of, she
emanated her energy.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've really met many people like her in my life.
No, she was pretty ebullient. So anyhow, she took us to this little dive-ass bar in El Rival.
Hole in the wall doesn't even begin. Like, I thought this was someone's house.
No, and it was adorned with FC Barca pictures from like the 40s and 50s and 60s. And they're like, Puta Franco and all these other things. And it just, it was...
Every person in that pub was wearing a beret and smoking a cigarette.
Oh, we were the youngest by half. And
Easy.
Yeah, it was very like, and everybody was speaking Catalan and
no one spoke Spanish.
No one spoke Spanish.
They gave us a break because we didn't speak Catalan.
Well,
we understood,
they kind of knew that we were. I mean, it was fairly obvious that I was a foreigner. Yeah, se habla español.
That's not how you talk.
It's not much better.
You are so.
It's not a lot.
You are so funny.
Se habla inglés.
Oh my God.
Por favor.
No, you got it.
It's not great.
You're shaking the table. Be careful because the cameras are.
Look at me. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, so we go to there and I'm like, what is this vermouth and club soda thing? And then I tasted it and I was like,
which to be clear, in this particular space, it was you ordered vermouth com soda.
Yeah.
And they would bring it to you on a tray, a bottle of vermouth.
Right.
Maybe it's more acidic than I thought it was. I just spat all over my desk. That's amazing. So they would bring you.
Can't take you anywhere.
No. You can't leave me anywhere either. Oh. But they would bring you a tray with a bottle of vermouth, a bottle of club soda, and the bottle of club soda with like the spray thing, right? Like it wasn't.
I love
like
that you
branded.
automatically drop into vermouth.
Vermouth. It's so fun to say it that way, though. Vermouth.
It kind of is.
You feel so like.
Yeah, you're not lying about that.
Like your mouth works better when you say it like that. I don't know why.
My mouth never works better in another language. It's all like.
This episode brought to you by Martini and Rossi and Club Soda. Please sponsor us.
Please drink responsibly.
Yeah, as it were. So they would bring this out, and it was that traditional, like, you see it in like movies or on like old TV shows or something like that, like the club soda sprayer, like the dispenser.
No, it had the, oh my God, yes.
Remember? And so it wasn't branded. You have no idea like what, but it doesn't matter because it kept it fizzy. And then they'd bring out highballs for each person at the table and a bucket of ice and some lemons. Like each glass had, lemons, and they'd bring an extra plate of lemons. And that was the thing. You pour the vermouth, you spray in the club soda, and you pour the vermouth and you spritz the club soda, and then you dash
it's there
of
to add
lemon.
Fizz.
It really,
that's about all.
It really is.
And for those, I don't know. I honestly didn't even know what vermouth was.
Yeah.
Until we had that there, but for those who don't know, it's like a sweetened, it's wine. It's wine. It's actual
I can't think of the
wine,
word.
Right?
It's I just had it. It's fortified wine.
Fortified wine.
Yeah.
Fortified wine. But it's very like almost kind of tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, a little bit. Table.
And it's fine. I'm the chief content officer.
So you get to shake the table, and I don't.
That's right. That's correct. No, so it's fortified wine, so it tastes a little bit like Dr. Pepper, but it's very
not with that like overwhelmingly pruny kind of flavor.
No,
it's
not.
like
It's not it's not overly sweet, but it's nice and sweet, and so it's it's a nice kind of chill out drink,
and it's 14% alcohol.
Yeah.
Like it's akin to a high ABV bottle of wine. So, like, if you're...
But you don't drink it straight.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly my point.
You cut it with a club soda, and it's closer to, like,
an alcohol pop, like you said.
Well, it's an alcohol pop for sure, but, like, a fancy beer, or
there you go.
A microbrew or something like that. Yeah. So, it's...
Well, in terms of ABV. Although, even then, like, high-octane beers will mess me up for days. Like I will get so drunk off a not even like high octane. Like I'll drink like a 6% or a 7% and be on my ass. Like it's something about it.
It's also the stuff that they make it with though, right? They're like,
oh, I don't no. I'm talking about like just the alcohol content, not any of the other like ancillaries. Like I don't do hops. I'm one of those where it's like I can't drink hops, I can't eat onions. So, you gotta make every waiter go absolutely insane.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
No, it's not so bad. Like I honestly feel bad. I never say anything in a restaurant, and it's like when I first realized like her sensitivities, I was just like, oh, this is going to be entertaining. And then and then it's like most people are pretty accommodating these days, especially in Philadelphia. So that's a good thing to know.
I feel like this is becoming like a little more common too. That like more people are realizing that this is an issue for them.
I think people are waking up to what it is that causes discomfort, and
it's Big Onion. They just they got in low and they got in early and they get us when we're young and they get us hooked. And they convince you that you need onions in everything.
I mean, they even chop them up and stick them on McDonald's burgers surreptitiously.
See, I'm telling you, like LTO used to just be LT. Latest.
I get it. I
ain't laughing.
You broke me.
I broke you.
I was like, rebooting.
Love it. Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah. My drink of choice for this fine afternoon is an Alcopop from Catalonia, and Adelaide's is a delicious wine from southeastern Pennsylvania, and travel adjacent stuff. That's Slancha. Cheers. Salute. E forza al canut.
Down with the fascism. All right. Yes, if you would like to learn some toasts, we will be presenting a few of those throughout different podcast episodes. And Jim nailed today's Salut y forza al canut.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
What does it mean?
It means.
Wait, what language is it first?
It is Catalan.
Yes.
And it means health and strength for your junk.
Codpiece.
I'm still unclear, like, as to what a cod piece exactly is supposed to be, but
like an ancient jockstrap.
Yeah, that's right. Salute you, yes, to the health and strength of your cod piece.
There it is,
ladies and gents.
Salute y forza al canut.
I love it.
Spectacular.
All right, shall we move on to the next segment? All right.
I seriously.
We'll get it in post.
Like that sounds like a plane actively on fire.
It's for everybody. For those who don't know, for those playing along at home, that is the opening sample from Mama Coco, which is sampled from Street Fighter 2. And Blake pulled that down, and I was like, oh, that'll be a perfect segue. And then I played it isolated like that, and I was like, might have to find another one. And I cut one, and I thought I loaded it onto the Rodecaster, and so it's supposed to sound like.
Is it on a different?
No,
file?
I looked. I was like, oh, plane. That's exactly what I'm looking for, yeah, instead I got that. Like I was actually considering maybe we should do this instead.
That would have been better for the last one, but sure. Travel
so
news?
Experimental. Hey, travel news.
All right.
You know the old.
I do, and I'm surprised you didn't download that sound.
Damn it. Oh, I'm so bad at my job.
First time out.
Room for improvement.
First time
Room
out.
for yeah.
Pure experimentation right now.
Take notes.
All right, you.
Hold on. I'm legit taking the note right now. Download news ticker sound, whatever that may be. And we're starting this at 52 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah.
This wine is spectacular.
I'm going to need more of it.
Paul Giamatti's character didn't know what he was talking about. I don't know what anyone's name is in that movie, and I've seen it so many times. It's hilarious.
I've seen it I think exactly once, and I was drunk on crappy beer.
Like the funny thing about it is, it literally could have been Virginia Madsen, Sandra Oh, Paul Giamatti, and Thomas Hayden Church playing themselves in this movie. And like, it wasn't, but it just like, it could have been, and it would have been just fine. Like it would have worked even still.
Oh, well. Yeah, no, it was a very good movie, and one that I actually would love to see again.
Yeah.
But for sure. Everything's off the rails here. I love it. Okay, so travel story number 1. Amsterdam to ban marijuana usage on the street in the red light district. This is coming to us from CNN. Thank you.
Thanks, CNN.
Yeah,
sponsor us. I'm just kidding. Don't actually, please.
Why not?
I don't want a news source sponsoring us. It'll just feel like we're all political.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyhow, I'm not going any deeper into that conversation. No, thank you. No, so the headline: Amsterdam banning pot use in the red light district. The city of Amsterdam will no longer allow cannabis usage in the red light district, also known as De Wallen. At least. And please, if you're Dutch, don't correct me. No, go ahead and correct me. It's fine. And is even discouraging alcohol use in an effort to make the neighborhood more hospitable to residents. That's right. People live in the cities that you're going to visit. So do remember that, folks. The city estimates that tourism to the red light district makes up somewhere around 10 to 15% of all tourism to the city, but the residents of the area end up having to navigate the drug dealers and criminal elements that these tourists attract. There's even talk of moving the brothels outside the city center to help tamp down the traffic and bring in more folks who are there to take in the architecture and culture. And like, honestly, the funny thing is, my first thing was like, well, who's going to go to Amsterdam now? But I'm kidding, Amsterdam. My first thing was 10 to 15%. That's it. I'm
actually I'm surprised it's not more.
I mean, it's Europe. Like, I'm sure that, Europe. So we lived in Barcelona for a year, and it's a pretty tolerant society.
Until you sit outside my apartment at 3:00 in the morning, cackling.
Even then, though, that's just the citizens taking it upon themselves to dump big buckets of water on cacklers.
Can't confirm.
So yeah, no. So I think I think that is part of the reason why, and so it's more like Americans and people from outside Europe where their societies are not so tolerant, maybe going there and everything. I don't know, but I was like, well, that's got to be not so much fun for the people going there. And then I remembered living in Old City, Barcelona, and it could be a nightmare during stag and hen season.
Oh my God.
Holy crap.
And let me tell you something. Like, people talk a good game about the ugly American, and for good reason. I get where this comes from, and I've seen it in action. The thing that's funny to me is I've seen, generally speaking, worse behavior from people from other countries. And I think part of it, truthfully, is because the stereotype exists around Americans behaving so poorly that, like, people go behave badly and then tell everyone they're from the States.
they all like tack American flags on their backpacks.
Legitimately, we have that trope of people who travel and they put Canadian flags on their backpacks and stuff so that people think that they're from Canada.
Is that still a thing?
I don't know. I can't imagine, but maybe it is. I
ain't tacking
putting
any
another
flag
country's flag on your person as a means to make people think that you're from that country is a little like, what are you concerned about? Like, why is this? And I get the, like, I'm nervous that I don't want people to treat me like an American. Well, but if you're not being ignorant and you're not being rude and you're being like conscientious, I always struggle
easy
with
for
that
you
word.
to say.
It's like prefixed. It's a word I struggle with. But yeah, if you're being cognizant of the fact that like other people live there and you're being like, whatever, just a human being, frankly, when you go other places, then what's what's to be concerned about? And frankly, like, why do you even need a flag anyway? Like, you don't need to announce that you're a foreigner when you're going somewhere. Just go to the place and do the thing and just be a good person when you go there. It's kind of my rule for stuff, but I don't know. I also say "au revoir."
You do.
Or I try to anyway.
Well, I think everybody tries to, only the French get it. But yeah, it's actually a really good thing to remember when it comes to tourism is like, okay, fine. You're there, you're on vacation. Oh boy, it's time to cut loose and it's fine. We can totally hear that. You're good.
I'm like trying not to put it.
This is going to be like
I'm trying to let you talk, and I'm
it's all
miserably.
good. This is like the sloppiest podcast.
Love it.
It's so great.
I love it.
We're gonna have this like big messy podcast for our first few episodes, and
fucking A.
I'm here for it. Now I'm gonna have to bleep that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're pouring the hours on me. She's like, I don't care.
I mean, I know what I pay you. So.
We're bootstrapped, folks. Send money. We've got a Patreon account.
That's a good time to plug that. No,
actually,
keep back,
it's still,
back to.
Yeah, no. Reel it in. All right. So, no, it's. Oh my god, it's
derailed you
totally
entirely,
derailed. Just
do you want
right
to play
straight
back?
off the rails.
Can you play back?
Oh, I don't. No, I'm not messing with that juju right now.
You were talking about going to other cities and remember that people live there.
Yes, it's key. It's key, folks. And I get it. Amsterdam. I want to smoke a bunch of weed, and it's funny. I was actually talking with one of our devs, Halim, the other day about. He's like, oh, I can't.
Halim is our chief of product and innovation, dude.
Sorry. I'm still learning the titles. And
I did just recently promote him.
That's true.
I did just recently promote him. So.
We'll go with that. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
How that?
No. So Halim, the other day, he's like, yeah. So it's, what do they do with the other legal things? And I'm like, surprisingly enough, it's not all legal in the Netherlands. It's just tolerated. Mm-hmm. And like you can get in trouble if you're messing around too much, being too noisy or a disruption. The authorities can in fact come after you for drug use and possession and that sort of thing. It's just they usually don't. But again, good reminder, just be cognizant of the fact that you're in a city where people live and work.
Well, and I want to make a note on that as well. Like it's kind of a privilege check moment. Like, yes, it's true that generally speaking, law enforcement will not come after you if you're not being egregious in your behavior around drug use
in certain places.
Correct. But also recognize that we are very white human beings and we are tolerated differently than people of color.
Oh, that's very true.
So like going to some of these countries and looking a certain way, like when I was in China, I lived in China back in the early aughts, and I was there in 2008 during the Olympics, and I lived in Qingdao, where a lot of the sailing, actually all of the sailing competitions took place, which was fascinating. Another story for another time. But in Beijing, and actually in Qingdao as well, they were rounding up all of the Russian women and the black men. And they were just shipping them out. And I remember being like really concerned about this because I had black male friends. Granted, they were from the States, but still. And then I had a really good friend, a woman who was from Russia, and young, very attractive woman. But the thing was, it was all just in an effort to get rid of all the drug dealers and prostitutes. Well, first off, generalize much. But the
racism exists in other countries too.
Go figure. But actually, the authorities got in huge trouble because they tried deporting the son of the ambassador to, I want to say Ghana. Might have been Kenya. I don't remember. I apologize. I don't remember which country it was.
An African country.
Well,
Sub-Saharan.
I don't like being like an African country. But just
that's fair.
Yeah, but it was a huge deal because it was Cameroon. I remember now. It was Cameroon, and the thing was like everyone was like, see, this just goes to show. And like it created a huge rift. And part of the problem too is like China is investing heavily in infrastructure in certain African countries because they are rich in like the minerals necessary for a lot of the manufacturing that China does for like batteries and electronics and things of that nature. But they're also like trying to get a foothold in this country, in these countries in the anticipation of like kind of being able to take over global economy in a way. Like it's a new sort of like Monroe Doctrine kind of era, but it's coming from Asia. And so, yeah, it really put we'll call it a crinkle.
A dent.
In their relationship with one another. So, I mean.
A ding.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, it's a thing that we don't want to experience that. When you and I go places, like we feel really open just sitting out with people who are engaging in illicit activities like smoking weed. When we were in, Barcelona, like that's a pretty common activity.
Oh yeah, and
I think it was decriminalized while we were there, but it was still the idea that like if you're drinking in public, like you're technically legally not allowed to drink in public in Barcelona. People do it all the time.
Up to a 3,000 euro fine, by the way.
For sure.
Be careful.
Yeah, and they will totally throw you in the clink if necessary. But like most of the time they don't, because people know how to drink in moderation and they don't get like crazy with it like we tend to do here in the States. But if you don't look the way that we do, you draw attention to yourself. And
no, for sure. For sure. But the point that I was also after was the fact that, yeah, in some countries they are fairly tolerant of that sort of thing.
Sure.
Even if you don't look like European in descent, they will still, yeah, okay, fine, you'll get in trouble. But there's that sort of trouble, and there's like you can get thrown in prison for life or worse in certain parts of the world for drug possession.
Oh yeah.
Simple possession.
Yeah.
So yeah, do be mindful of the laws of the country that you're going to be in, as well as the fact that you're in a city where people live and work. Because
what is our number one rule at TripBee for our users? Your laws don't follow you.
Oh yeah, no, that's 100%.
That is seriously our number one.
100% the case. And that's not just us. That's the State Department.
Yeah, that's even above and beyond just being like a human being when you travel. Because honestly, that shouldn't have to be a rule. You shouldn't have to think about that. But
yeah, be a decent ass person.
And remember, your laws don't follow you.
pretend. Yeah, exactly. And
pretend you're home.
Yeah, there you go. Pretend you're at home, just having a little more fun.
Yep, exactly.
All right.
Pretend you're at home with better architecture.
Now we spent 20 minutes on that.
It was your idea to get me drunk.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked for me in the past. All right. What's story number 2?
Story number 2 comes to us from our friends over at Thrillist. This is regarding travel warnings to Mexico. So just in time for spring break, the travel department is recommending folks put the kibosh on travel to some parts of Mexico for the moment. There have been a number of recent reports of kidnapping and robbery coming from south of the border, so the U.S. State Department has cautioned its citizens to be wary of traveling to some parts of the country. Thankfully, the do not travel list is small. The only states that fall under that category are Colima, Guerrero, Michoacán, Sinaloa, Tamaulipas, and Zacatecas.
No, that's
I know.
No, that's
Zacatecas.
Yeah, there we are.
The reconsider travel list includes Baja California, home of Tijuana, a popular quick trip destination for Californians. True story. I actually took myself there back in 2019 and loved it. Travelers to Yucatan and Campeche can exercise normal precautions, says the State Department, while the rest of the country, including popular resort towns like Cancun, Playa del Carmen, falls generally under the exercise increased caution list. Per the usual, there's plenty of nuances to be had in the travel warning, so check travel.state.gov for the full scoop on happenings down south and elsewhere around the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really a good one, given that spring break is coming up, right? Yes. This is the weird thing, like not having kids. I'm just like, wait, when the hell is spring break?
We're dinks.
Well, we're no longer.
We're
no longer the DI part.
We're inks.
No.
We're inks.
we're ninks.
We're inks. So bad.
I'll leave you to figure that out at home.
DINK stands for dual income, no kids, and it's actually one of those things that I learned from being an Army brat, which also has its own acronym meaning. I don't know if people know that.
British Regiment Attached
Transport.
Transport. That's right. Why British? I don't know, but we're not getting into it. We're cutting that one right now. No. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was, I've never been to Mexico, and I can be a very nervous traveler, funny enough. This is, here's my whiteness coming out here.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, no, 100%. I'm like, I can go anywhere in Europe and don't worry about it. And when it comes to Mexico, I'm like, but they have drug cartels and bad people down. And it's like, oh.
Well, I mean, when it comes to places where you might stand out a little bit more for your whiteness.
I mean, it's a thing. At the same time, though, it's also like.
At the same time, you don't look rich.
Oh no, I definitely don't look rich. That's for sure. No. And I mean, you'll find them all kinds, no matter where you go. I remember getting cocaine prostitutes offered to me on the Ramblas in Barcelona, trying to walk home from a bar at midnight. So yeah,
if you look for trouble, you'll find it.
That's for sure. If you look for trouble, you'll find it. And I think it also falls under the, just be careful, be aware of your surroundings, don't be silly about things.
Yeah.
If you're flashing cash and you're generally looking like you have no situational awareness whatsoever, you're going to become a target pretty much anywhere you go.
Well, and this is an objective of ours, is helping people get to their destination safely and understand what to expect when they get there. And this is one of those things where, a lot of places, have not technologically caught up to the United States. Some are well ahead of where we are and have skipped the middleman. There's an economic term for that, and I can't remember what it's called. But the idea that like some countries never really had landlines, for example, so they just went straight to cell phones.
Yeah, it's a number of sub-Saharan countries, I think, are at that point where it's like internet transmission is generally done via cell tower because they simply haven't created the technology got to the point where they didn't need all of the land infrastructure in order to build out a network that was, that was sufficient to carry at least some internet traffic.
And in the meantime, my parents' cable goes out anytime it rains in Florida.
I mean, does that happen often in Florida?
I don't know.
Anyhow, back to
their hockey team's named the Lightning, so I can't imagine. Anyway, but the idea of being able to go to a foreign country and feel comfortable in your own space and understand, like, part of the reason why as a single white woman I felt comfortable taking myself to Tijuana at the end of 2019 was because, like, I have been to foreign countries before. I've been across the border before, but also I kind of know what to look for in terms of like how to stay safe, and I know how to feel comfortable around that, like. Don't get off the beaten path. Like, yay, I'm here in this new place and I'm gonna go find some like Instagram friendly space that like no one's ever been to. Don't do that.
If the alley is dark, don't go.
Right. Just stay where you're at. Stay on I stayed on the main drag, which is a long drag to explore. And there's heaps of shops and there were people, and it was early in the morning. That was the other thing. I wasn't there like late at night.
That's so you're bringing up a couple really great points too. Like, it's you're more likely to find trouble after dark, and the later it gets, the likelier it gets. And if you find you're the only person on a given street or sidewalk, there's a problem. Turn around and find people.
Right.
But
always stay near people.
Yeah,
always
exactly.
Walk with people.
If you are in a populated area and one that is well lit, at least compared to its surroundings, you stand a much better chance of nothing happening to you as opposed to going to the place that's dimly lit and there's nobody about. And that's the point at which, and it's
following people to places, generally a bad idea. I'll give a little insight into my experience. So when I went, the Avenida de Revolucion is a really beautiful, the Revolution Avenue is a really beautiful track of just shops. It's all the like bars and shops. It's the main drag in town for the most part, right? It's the thing that people come to see. And there's little offshoots here and there, but they are big, walkable streets. It's not easy for, like, if you think about like a common thing is like a vehicle pulling up and like opening the door and pulling you in and then closing the door. That is not a thing that is easy to do on some of these streets, right? Like someone would have to have targeted you and like be coming after you. What I did and how I stayed kind of like secure in all of this, I had my passport on me. I kept it in my front pocket. This is, as a woman, girl pockets are real. They are bullshit. And I'm telling every manufacturer out there, you are putting women's lives in danger by not giving them accurate pockets. Like give women pockets. for International Women's Day. Give women pockets. Hashtag. Like I can't even get my knuckles, my first knuckles into my pockets that I have on these jeans here. So I had pants that I was able to like put my passport in the front pocket and know where it was at all times. Okay, that's one thing. I did have my backpack on me. I didn't have anything of like uber importance in my backpack. So like, you know, I don't keep my wallet in my backpack, right? Like I keep my credit card. I had like my credit card on me and my driver's license in another pocket. And that was it. Because if I lose my credit card or I lose my driver's license, those are very easy to replace. And I don't need either of them to get back into my country of origin. The other thing was getting onto immediately the main drag required getting across the border, which I walked across the border after I had a Lyft drop me off at the, like right at the border. Which is an experience in and of itself, because you do kind of feel like you're doing something illegal, even though it's like, this is border control. That's where you go. Like the border control into Mexico is nothing like the border control into the United States. It is a whole other animal. Yeah, it's a nutcase scenario, but you get across the border and you do have to take a short bus ride. Highly recommended. You can walk there, but see, that's the thing. Get on a bus. You know, being on a bus, you're with other people. The likelihood of the bus being hijacked is very slim. Like, right, things like that. So getting the bus to the next destination, you know, and doing that. And I was going to say the other thing that I noticed was I saw a lot of construction from like big construction companies from north of the border that I recognized, and being near those construction sites actually made me feel weirdly connected.
I think because I could be presumptuous here and say that they probably have their own private security and everything going on there too.
I wasn't even worried about that. It was more just like seeing something that I knew from my country and feeling like, okay, if I need to contact somebody, there's a likelihood I might be able to just run to this construction site and like locate someone who can like find someone I know. Again, not really concerns that I had. Like, this is the other thing. I'm stating all of these things and it makes it sound like it was a lot more dangerous than it really felt. It didn't feel dangerous at all. I felt the whole time I was there, I felt guarded, but I feel like that walking around the streets of Philadelphia. Like, I'm going to kind of keep my wits about me when I'm walking around the town I live in. But yeah, I talked to people. I got to know them. I met a shop owner right off the bat, and he was like, "Oh, I got a shop up the street over here." Like, literally pointed at it, and it was a big garage, and it was right on the street, and there were people in it. I could see them. I could see it was well lit. It was open. It wasn't like shady at all.
It wasn't. Yeah, I've got a shop here, and there's a carton, and
right. So it was a lot of like, okay, like this is easy. I can do this. I can talk to people. I can get there. Now, fair enough. I also speak a modicum of Spanish. That helped a lot.
You speak a good bit of Spanish.
It helped. It helped a lot. So learning a foreign language, at least the basics of a foreign language, is extremely helpful because it helps you understand what someone might be saying near you. So if you hear something like peligroso, you understand that means danger or dangerous. And you're like, oh, like, yeah. Okay. So having all of those things in mind, I don't know. I had a great time. I went to all these markets. I bought tons of food. I flew it all back to Philly, and Jim and I ate and drank like kings for a couple of weeks and really enjoyed it. So yeah, when traveling, treat it like anywhere. Yeah. Humans are humans. People are people everywhere you go on this planet.
No, absolutely.
And generally speaking, no one wants to do you harm. No one wants to hurt
the
you.
likelihood is small that anything bad will happen to you, and generally travelers are not targeted wherever they are.
More so than that, it's the idea that you're there to enjoy that space. You're there to see the place where you are, and the people who live there,
they want to show it to you.
They want to show it to you. They want you to be a part of this. They want you to enjoy it, and they want you to love it the way that they do. Because
just like you're proud of your hometown, hopefully.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the other thing is like, even if you're not super proud of your hometown, there's something there that if someone were to show up and be like, I'm here to see the sights, you might be a little quizzical about it and then be like, well, there's this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Like,
I'm from Tampa, and there are plenty of good reasons I'm from Tampa. And but if somebody asks like, hey, what do I do in Tampa? I light up and I tell them the things to do. And it's, so same when it comes to travel. It's, it's a lot of fun. Just remember
full stop.
Yeah, there you go. Full stop. We'll go with that.
Travel. It's a lot of fun. Jim, would you like to read the next story?
No, I don't. We should move on.
This is a good one. I like this one.
Okay. Hong Kong will give away 500,000 plane tickets. Here's who can get them first. So, yes, this is from CNBC. The city of Hong Kong is giving away 500,000 tickets through Cathay Pacific.
You look at me like I would know.
Damn. Cathay Pacific, HK Express, and Hong Kong Airlines over the next 6 months in an effort to boost tourism. This is part of a huge COVID relief package aimed to bring tourism back to the city now that the travel restrictions are being lifted. Tickets will go to folks in mainland China first, then other Southeastern Asian countries before the program is expanded to the rest of the world. So, I don't know about you, but I'm actually going to be looking into this as soon as I possibly can. Apparently, it's not going to happen terribly soon, but well,
they started last month, so the giveaway has already begun, and the giveaway is happening in mainland China first,
right?
As stated. So I think they're looking at. So if it started last month, I think I read that it was like May timeframe. It's going to be expanded, April, May, something like that. So it's not too far away. Yeah.
I mean, 500,000 tickets is a lot of tickets. So
yeah.
But yeah, Hong Kong is one of those like just super cool places that I've always wanted to see. I have a thing for harbor cities, and skylines like that are just chef's kiss. Just absolutely gorgeous. But I've always kind of wanted to go there and check it out. So if they want to give me a plane ticket, I'm happy to go. Hong Kong.
I took a train to Hong Kong one time. It was 24 hours, and I felt like I was still moving for like 3 days afterwards.
On a train, I'm not surprised, but it's it just it looks like a really fantastic giveaway and something that I'm totally here for. Totally here for it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Hong Kong there, Adelaide?
Hong Kong's amazing. It's one of those places that you really get, like, if you've spent any time in China, or if you spend any time in China, you get an immediate sense of like, okay, things are maybe a little different from what I expect in the United States, like food wise and culture wise. I mean, I always tell people it's 180 degrees from everything you expect. Hong Kong was, for me, very much closer to what I expected going to almost a European city, truthfully. And this is not, there's no judgment in anything that I'm saying. China is China, and Hong Kong is Hong Kong, and Europe is Europe. I mean, like all these places have their own pros and cons, to be sure. And I loved China. Like, I really did. There were some food adventures, I will say, and it was a relief to me. And this is also coming from the city that I was living in first. When I was living there, was very rural. So my choices were quite limited when it came to finding things that I recognized from my home country. So it was nice getting into Hong Kong and then going and buying a sandwich and eating a sandwich that tasted like a sandwich, that had flavors of a sandwich that I recognized, and I was very happy about it.
Now, how much that has to do with the fact that like it was was it British concession? Is that the no?
Yes.
Is that the proper?
I don't know if concession's the right word, but yeah,
No.
it was a British. Oh crap! Let's look this up because I want to get this right.
I can totally do this.
All right, Jim's on it.
This won't take long.
And yes, I'm going to say whatever it was. Yes, that is exactly why. So like the bread was really the big thing. Like the bread tasted like bread I expected to be eating, almost like Wonder Bread. You know, like it was just kind of like, oh, I recognize this bread. It tastes like
It was
bread.
a colony.
Oh,
Colony of the
okay.
British Empire.
All right. So not even a concession. So that's yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, like that. Given that, was it a like is English common there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
A lot of people speak English in Hong Kong. What's wild is so people speak English and Cantonese in Hong Kong. And then when you go to, when you speak Mandarin, Cantonese is a whole other creature. Like, it's just not the same.
you mean it's like the difference between English and British English?
No, it's like the difference between English and French. Like, yeah, it's
That's a lot.
it's like you catch a few, or maybe more like the difference between English and Spanish, where it's like you catch certain words and then other things are like, that's not right. But no, and there's more tones to it. Like Mandarin has 4 tones. I think Cantonese has 7. I think that's right. Something like that.
Oh,
And that's not even like the most tones of any language. Like there's languages in Asia that have like upwards of like 9 to 13 tones to them. So yeah, like it just depends on where you are. There's subtle differences, but anyway, that's sidetracked. But no, but Hong Kong for me, it was fascinating because it was, yes, people spoke English, so it was kind of like but not across the board. Like your taxi driver is likely to speak Cantonese or Mandarin, right? Like Mandarin's the common language. That's going to be the thing that's going to get you the furthest. So if you're learning
so
something,
you should at least know some Chinese.
you should probably want to learn specifically Mandarin Chinese, like because Chinese covers the gamut of Chinese languages: Cantonese, Shanghainese, Fujianhua, Shanghainese. Yeah, like there's all
That's
kinds
fun
of.
to say.
Yeah, it is. So you got a bunch of different like dialects and other languages, but Kowloon is on the mainland. So when people look at Hong Kong, I think it gets a little confusing because you see that sort of that harbor strait that passes between the lands. Kowloon is on the northern end and is part of mainland China. And just beyond Kowloon is Shenzhen, which is a huge manufacturing district and shipping district. So if you work in manufacturing or if you've ordered anything from China, it probably came through Shenzhen. So Kowloon is just right there on the northern side of Hong Kong. And then when you cross the water, you're in Hong Kong. So you're still in mainland China when you're in Kowloon, even though that's like the border control space to get into Hong Kong. Now, that was when I was living there. I don't know if that's still the case, if it's still treated as like a separate...
I want to look this up.
Yeah, it's an interesting like now that China is really taking over the area, which is another reason why I think this giveaway is happening, is because they really want to drive tourism, in part because mainland China news has, with the demonstrations and whatnot, there are people who are really fighting to keep their democracy intact in Hong Kong, and that's a thing that level of political state creates a little bit of unrest. But yeah,
well, and control was passed from the UK in what, 97?
99? 97, 99?
I was just there too. You'd think I'd have
You think you would have looked
right? Like, come on, buddy.
You're like, I was just looking at this. I don't even remember.
Experimental.
Anyway.
Episode 1.
Anyway, we'll just keep coming back to that. But yeah, I mean, I would say that like Hong Kong is a weird. It's like a New York in a lot of ways, where things are really built on top of one another, and I mean like right on top of one another. You have a lot of like disparate peoples from all over the world, combined in this one very hectic, lively space. You've got all heaps of like nooks and crannies. Big, beautiful shopping districts. The world's longest escalator, I think. It's still the world's longest escalator. Yeah. There's like stops along it. You like...
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's wild.
I want to go there
It's
now.
absolutely wild.
I want to go there for
You're not going to believe this. I didn't
escalator.
write it. I didn't write it. We couldn't find it while we were there. My friends and I were like,
it's the world's biggest escalator, and you couldn't find it.
Longest escalator.
Longest.
Yeah, and we couldn't find it. Yeah.
What's the difference between the longest and biggest?
Well, it's not like the widest or the deepest. It's the longest. It just goes up the mountain. But there's a lot of mountains there, so Mount Victoria is really cool. You get to the top of Mount Victoria. I know. But yeah, like getting up to the top of Victoria Mountain is a must for anyone who goes to Hong Kong. Taking the hydrofoil to the outlying islands of like Macau, and it's like Macau and the outlying islands. I don't even know what the names of them are. They're just Macau and the outlying islands. Macau is fascinating because it's got really beautiful food. I mean, the best.
But Macau is wholly separate.
Macau is wholly separate. I think it's another one of those, like, so Macau used to belong to Portugal.
Right.
Which is super fascinating because unlike Hong Kong, where, you know, you might be able to get by in English, Macau, it's Cantonese and Portuguese, and that's kind of it. It is a
wild combo for an English speaker.
It is bizarre. Well, and again, it was when I was there, bearing in mind, this is like 15 years ago. So like take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But like there's a huge, that's more like the Vegas of Asia, where you have all these big casinos. You really expect like Bond to come walking away from a baccarat table at any moment. Like it's really all the high rollers.
Doesn't he go to Macau and probably, yeah.
It's a big gambling, lots of like prostitution, drug dealing. Like there is some like seedy underbelly kind of stuff. You do kind of somebody.
Would I be scared there based on what I was
No, you're a
saying?
big white man. It's very different. Like I'm not even kidding. But Macau has like absolutely incredible food. The best crab curry and baguette, some of the best baguette I've ever had in my life. And I'm not even kidding. Like it was insanely good. And they have the Temple of Ama, which a lot of people don't even realize is there because they go to see the new luxurious.
What's the Temple of Ama?
Ama is the goddess of the sea. She is I think she's also the goddess of mercy, but there's a giant statue. I mean, giant. When I say giant, like you're talking like bigger than the Statue of Liberty. This thing is freaking huge, and it's in the middle of the harbor between Macau and the outlying islands. They also have bridges between the islands, and they light up at night. And like even when I was there, they were like a spectacle. They were really something to be seen. Like they have a TV tower right there on the edge of the island, and there's a movie theater at the top of it, and you can go see it. It was where I saw the Dark Knight.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was incredibly cool. It was incredibly. Oh, and the church. That's another big one. So there's a facade of an old church that was built there. It was the facade was built out of marble, I want to say, but the rest of the church was built out of wood, and the church burned down. There was a fire, and the whole thing burned down.
Yikes!
Except the facade.
Huh?
So the facade is still there. They still hold mass there. Like you can still go. You can participate if you want. But at night they light it up, and so it's like in this sort of like dimly lit neighborhood, and it's almost intentional. Like but it's also probably very poor. So there's not like a lot of electricity to be had, but it is like this plaza in the middle of this otherwise sort of dimly lit neighborhood, and it's just very bright, and you can see it for, if you're staying high up somewhere facing that direction. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hong Kong, defo
Hong Kong
check it
and
out.
Macau.
Hong Kong and Macau and the outlying islands. Get you some food. The food is amazing. Get you some culture, because the Fine Art Museum in Hong Kong is not to be missed.
Gotcha. All right. Fine Art Museum, Hong Kong. I'm there.
Shopping.
Let's do this.
Escalators.
Hong Kong, send me a ticket.
Views.
Now.
Fireworks shows. They regularly do these awesome fireworks shows where you take a ferry across to Kowloon and you go stand in the shopping plaza in Kowloon, and they have speakers blasting the music to you while the fireworks display happens over the city of Hong Kong. Like,
that's super cool.
It is. And the buildings get into it. So the buildings, they'll have like lights going off on the buildings, and then the fireworks will come out the top.
Wild.
It's insanely cool. It's very, very neat.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right. What do you think? Ready for the big finish?
I'm ready for the big finish.
Ready for the big finish. All right.
Ready for the big finish.
Ready for the big finish. Now that we've severely run out of time.
I mean, define running out of time.
We have nothing but time.
We have nothing but time.
Also,
That might be the Merlot speaking.
that might be the Merlot speaking, or maybe it's the maybe it's my vermouth. I don't know.
Vermouth comme soda.
Anyhow, thanks for joining us today for our very first podcast. Thanks for bearing with us.
This was fun.
I had a good time.
This is great. I can't wait to do this again.
I'm looking forward to doing this again, and yeah, maybe even tighten it up a little bit. Who knows? It could be a thing where,
Us talk less, you mean?
we talk less. We make it a little more
get to the point?
focused. We come to a point. I know. These are big
like
goals.
you might be asking a lot here, Jim.
I think we are asking a lot, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to do a lot. We're here to really build a great travel platform for everybody, and that's a huge lift, folks. So
we will be your go-to.
We will be your go-to
Before you know it.
Yes. So yeah. So why don't you go out there? You can find us. We've got a tip jar currently set up at patreon.com/TripBee. You can kick in
Tip your
$3
servers, tip
or
your bartender.
$5 or 10 or 100, even 1,000, whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, so subscriptions there.
Did you say 1,000?
I might have said 1,000. I could have said 10,000. Who knows? I mean, you can kick in whatever you can spare. And $3 a month would be awesome. Just nice little start
that
there.
would be great.
Yeah. So there's that. You can also find us at TripBee on SoundCloud. And look forward to doing this with you all again next Friday. Again, where who knows? Maybe it'll be a little bit tighter.
Who knows, indeed. I think next week I'm drinking coffee.
You go ahead and you drink your coffee. I'll find a nice local beer or something that's not too high ABV, and then yeah, we'll get this. We'll get it all down. But thanks for joining us for the journey. The journey is really what it's all about. We're not.
100%.
Yeah, the destination is lovely, but come on, let's have an adventure.